Hey guys, Judge here at Hydra Fitness Exchange. We just got this trade-in, this nice treadmill, the Precor TRM 445. So we just got this thing in, and we noticed at low speeds, we're getting like a knocking noise from the front. We were unable to determine just by putting our ears up to the components up front if it was the drive roller or if it was the drive motor. So we're going to walk you through our troubleshooting and diagnostics, and we're going to give you what the solution is after we figure it out. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on, so it's just go. Quick start. So the belt is starting. I guess I'll get low here so maybe you can hear it better. There's something happening in this area here, and we gotta figure out what it is. Hopefully, it's not the drive motor, because these drive motors are really expensive. The rollers are too, but we just have to figure out which one it is. So what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to ask for Michael's assistance, is we're going to look under the machine while it's in operation. We set up a nice little pad on this side so that when we roll it or rock it onto its side, it's got a nice cushion pad here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some weight into it. And here's the underside of the machine. Oddly enough, when we put weight on it, the knocking kind of changes a little bit, if not goes away. So that's something to maybe clue us in. You see anything, Michael? Like,
not really, no.
Anything obvious? Obstructions? I mean, we've seen kids' toys and all sorts of things that get sucked up into the motor unit and into the belt system.
It's probably really hard to see on camera too.
I don't feel any vibration, but it did go away on its side. So I guess we'll just take that as a clue for now, and what we're going to do, I think the best thing to do right now is to disconnect the drive belt. You can hear that knocking starting to come back in. I got it, Michael. You can hear that knocking starting to come back, and there it is again. Sometimes when things are misleveled, that can cause ticks and knocks and things like that. But we're going to go ahead and disconnect the belt and start the motor up and see what happens. All right, here's the belt. This is a Flexonic belt. You can see the markers here. Flexonic is a type of belt that's stretched to fit the old school motors and belt systems. You had to use the motor mount to put tension on the belt. These are designed to stretch. So you stretch it on. It's almost like a rubber band, if you want to think about that. Think about it that way. You stretch it on, and you can actually walk it on and walk it off just by doing this real quickly. And right away, I can kind of see some rust and crud there. And, you know, we'll clean that off. Maybe it's as simple as that. But what we're going to do now is switch the machine on and see if the motor is just by itself making noise. Okay, the motor's active. It's on. I don't really hear anything. Do you, Michael?
No, not really.
It's pretty quiet, actually. Very, very smooth machine. Very smooth motor.
It's probably the roller then.
I'll tell you what. I don't like how, you know, this is not leveled correctly. We'll get that corrected at the end, but there's something going on between this pulley surface and or the belt and front roller here, for sure. All right, now that the belt's disconnected, what I want to do is like see what the roller sounds like with full belt tension. I'm just kind of holding this up so it doesn't get bound up, the drive belt that is. And I'm just, without any tension, without it connected to the drive motor, you could easily move this. I mean, I'm barely, and you can hear right away, it's rough. There's a lot of mechanical noise coming from the roller. I'm gonna go ahead and just take this off, or try to get it so that it's nowhere near, there we go. I just wanna make sure that that noise I'm hearing isn't rubbing on the belt. And it's not. So what that means is we gotta replace the front roller. All right, so first step, getting the front roller off is actually to take this rear guard off. On this particular unit, there's this protective barrier, and I'm gonna take that off. It's 2 hex socket cap screws on both sides, and then this small hole is actually the tensioner. That's what puts the tension into the tread belt. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this bad boy. All right, now that I got the rear guard off, and the reason why we took the rear guard off, by the way, is so that this bolt, when loosening or backing off the roller, it doesn't push into this small, this is smaller, a smaller diameter than the diameter of this socket cap. So if this were to push on the back of that, you'd risk shearing or cracking this rear roller guard. It's only 4 screws, so we took it off. Now we're going to actually take the tension off the tread belt by using these tensioning bolts for the roller, and do kind of somewhat even. There we go. Pretty much most of the tension's off. You can see how the belt, this deflection's almost 0. And then we're gonna go now to the front and disconnect this roller and take a look at it, see what's up. All right, with a nice new treadmill like this, with the tension out of the belt, with no power tools or anything, I can turn this socket cap screw that holds the front roller in onto the front roller bracket by hand with almost no effort. So it's kind of nice if you do it in the right order. It's really easy. Okay, so that's out. I'm gonna pull this out, set it over here. And what I should be able to do now is take this down and then pull, and then the front roller slides right out. Just like that. Now we're going to take a look at this, and there's nothing obvious. Oh, sounds like something. Sounds like broken glass.
Yeah.
Actually,
is that like a bearing or?
Yeah, that's a bearing. These are $280 from Precor, so I mean, if you know a good bearing guy, it would be totally worth buying bearings online. Wow, this thing's heavy. We're not the bearing guy, so we're gonna put a different roller in. Well, 2 weeks later, we got our front roller, and we're gonna open it up and install it. So hopefully we're good to go with this beautiful treadmill. All right, let's see. Let's see if they sent us the right thing. Looks good. Usually I like to, oh man, these are so heavy. Man, that looks perfect. So I think we're good to go. We'll go ahead and install this. All right, we're gonna go ahead and insert the front drive roller. We're just gonna reverse the take apart steps So very simply to start, just kind of get it across and then angle the spindle down into the retaining hole here. I'll pull it back out for you. So then we're gonna just start with that.
Let me get that light in there so you can see.
Okay.
The hole's right there.
Right there. Yep. So I'm gonna insert the spindle there, and then I'm going to move the threads so that they're pointing towards the hole in this cradle, and then just kind of hand tighten this socket cap screw in there. Now remember, when we pulled this apart, it was pretty much hand tight all the way. So I'm going to turn this as far as I can by hand. Now this is a pretty clean treadmill. It's virtually new, so this is just going in like a dream. After we get this through, there's not going to be any tension in the belt just yet. Okay, now that I have that on, I'm going to actually get this this belt, the drive belt, started. And we're just going to go ahead and walk this on onto the roller head and drive motor. Ow. It's pretty easy to move around because the tension isn't all that high. We're going to center the belt on the roller. Watch out for your fingers. You can hear it settling in. I'm going to jump one track up here, actually. If you can see that, Michael. There we go. Just to get it centered on that pulley. Looks pretty good. Right now, we're going to show you how to tension a belt and adjust the tracking. I mean, no matter what treadmill you have, they both have left and right rear adjustment bolts, and when you put a new belt on or do anything where you take tension off the belt, you're going to have to put the tension back in and then adjust it so that it's centered. And we're going to go ahead and show that to you right now. All right, guys, before we move to the back, I just wanted to show you this one thing about offset, the front roller offset. You could see that I went a little too far with the bolt. I can barely stick my finger between the guard and the roller. It's really tight. But as I slide it this way, there's all this play right here. So that roller is like sitting in here like at an angle. And that isn't good. That's not good for your belt, and it's certainly not gonna make aligning your belt easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and make these distances equal and then move to the back. The distance being from the guard to the roller, I'm going to make those equal and then move to the back roller to make the adjustment. All right, so I'm actually going to measure from the guard, holding the digital calipers flat on the tangent of basically on top of the roller. I'm going to hold it flat. I'm going to measure the amount of millimeters before it hits the belt. And right there we have
29.
29. Okay? So then I'm going to come to the opposite side and check that offset and make sure that we don't have any difference. So you can see it jumped to 31.5. So I'm going to back this off, another millimeter or so, and Looks like it's right on now at that 31.5. What do you see there?
30.2.
30.2. Still a little bit. What do you see?
31.4.
There you go. Okay, so that's exactly what we got on this side. I mean that's pretty much as accurate as you can get. And if you look down here, it is like perfectly equidistant here to there. All right, we're gonna go ahead and tension the belt on this Precor treadmill. I have the power on with the speed only at 1 mile an hour. You can see the drive motor up front moving the front roller, but there's absolutely no tension in the system. So it makes sense that there's no movement here because there's no tension. So first, well, the goal is to get just the amount of tension into the belt so that when you're walking, running, jogging, you're not getting any sort of delay or pausing in the belt when your feet strike the surface. Conversely, you don't want too much tension in the belt because then you're gonna prematurely wear out things like the treadmill belt itself. The rollers will heat up even more, and that's hard on the bearings. And it kind of goes down the line all the way to the motor prematurely wearing out. So here I got 2 tension bolts. On the Precor, they have this guard. I like to take that off. But you got the 2 tension bolts here, and I am going to just start putting some tension into this belt. And for the sake of the demo, as I get more and more tension in, you're going to start to see the belt move. See how it's starting to move? Okay, so when you're putting tension into the belt via the adjustment screws, if one side is too tight versus the other, the belt will start tracking one way or the other. The rule of thumb is whatever way it's tracking, so let's say it's tracking right, if it's tracking right, you tighten that side. If you don't want to put any more tension into the belt and it's tracking to the right, do the opposite, loosen the left-hand side. So right now, it's pretty centered. You can kind of see there's a little bit more of a gap here, but I'm going to go ahead and it's tracking to this side, so I'm going to add more tension here, and we can go extreme just for exaggeration. I'm going to make it really kind of, you don't want it to track too far because then it'll start binding with the side rail, but you can start to see how close it's getting to that side. Just for demo purposes, I want to show that. Now you're starting to get almost a two finger gap here, and I can barely, don't ever use your fingers to touch the roller or go anywhere near it. I'm just trying to show you that there's very little space now, and it's getting a little too close to the side rail for my comfort. So I'm going to go and, tighten that side. And just for the sake of demo, I'm gonna show you how the belt will track if I do the opposite and loosen the track side. So I'm loosening now, and now that belt should come back over. Now there are some tools out there that measure belt deflection. We don't have that. We'll include the part number that Precor has for belt deflection. They're kind of expensive. I just kind of wing it, just so long as like when a user's running on it, there's no slippage or delay. That's what you're kind of aiming for. But what belt deflection is essentially measuring at some distance that the belt raises up how many pounds of like it's sort of like a fish scale. If you've ever had a fish on and you're weighing the fish, you put it in its like gills, and it measures the weight of the fish that way. Well, there's tools like that for treadmill belts, so that at some distance, the pounds of force can be measured. Again, we're just going to wing it here. So, but you can see I was loosening that side, and it's starting to walk its way back. So. The next step is actually putting the tension we want, and then taking it for a spin, running on it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and step up on this treadmill and see what it feels like. It might slip, it might not. I'm gonna use the handrails to kind of slowly ease into it. Okay, so far so good. Now I can see that there is a little bit of adjusting. There's probably a 1/4 inch. It's moving a 1/4 inch this way, so I'll probably adjust it so that the belt gets more centered on this side. It's not too close though, so I'm going to kind of kick up the speed, and yeah, that's incline. Now I'm 200 pounds, so I'm not feeling like there's any. I'm even stomping now. So we're pretty good on the tension. Just a little bit of an alignment and we're good to go. And I'm gonna kick up the speed here to 3 so that we can see the alignment change faster. At 1 mile an hour, it takes a lot longer because you gotta wait for it to revolve around the whole front and rear pulley. So yeah, here we go, tracking this side. Instead of putting more tension in, I'm gonna take tension off and then retest. Again, we want the least amount of tension while maintaining operation with no slipping. That's the goal. So I'm working it back this way, and then I'm gonna let that, really you should only do 1/4 or half turns. That's another thing that you want to keep in mind. I'm actually gonna put a little bit in there. All right, I'll get on it since I loosened it a little bit. Still doing good. Good performance. We'll check the centering. Now I'm going to start really turning it, doing micro turns. So it's tracking this side. I'm going to try, what should I do? I'll loosen, since we're still doing good on the non-slipping. I'll do a little loosen and a little tighten. How about that? Just 1/8 of a turn. Getting close here. Getting close to calling this job done. That's pretty close. I mean, probably go a little bit more. Little bit more. All right. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and put the guard back on and slap the motor hood on, and she's ready to sell. If you found this video helpful, please give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.